Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Open Table Adventures. As always, I am Dan DeBaker. We are back with Table Talks, our little interview series where we talk to some of our favorites TTRPG content creators, hopefully some of your favorites too, as well. Today at the table, I have Michael. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Michael Ray Williams. I am 37 years old and have been playing TTRPGs for a very long time. I currently have the great fortune of GMing a live stream for the Adventures in Silvernell channel. Our campaign is campaign 4, Into the Expanse, and it is just so much fun. Or no, campaign 3. Oh my god, I'm going to get murdered for that later on.
Numbers are hard.
Numbers are hard. Numbers are hard. I was never great with numbers, so it's no wonder that I picked up TTRPGs. There's hardly any numbers involved at all in those. None at all. I am an actor, and I am a big advocate for heavy character development and character-driven narratives in my tabletop gaming. I've done lots of workshops and things on character development and ways to make characters a little bit more authentic and kind of tap into a catharsis, so to speak, in exploring the role play of character-driven narratives. So that's my spiel. I'm also a dish dinger. You may have seen me on TikTok dinging dishes and getting a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment out of when they don't ding. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad to have you. I guess I want to start. Yeah. So when did you first start playing TTRPGs? What was your first experience with that?
So my first experience, I was about 11 or 12. I don't recall exactly how old. I know that my sister, she's 6 years younger than me, so it had to be. She was pretty small, so it had to be maybe between 11 and 13. And we used to go. My mom would schedule these play dates with her, with some friends of theirs. And my mom and their mom would go off to do like church business stuff, because my mom was a choir director, and my sister would like play date with the little girl, and then I was just kind of wander around the yard, and eventually the dad was like, "Hey, you want to come play on the computer? I got this cool game, Diablo, and I think you'd get a kick out of it." And so I started playing Diablo, and he was like, there's kind of like a board game version of that we could play sometime. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And it was Dungeons and Dragons First Edition. And so my first experience was me and this guy who felt bad that I didn't have anybody to play with these play dates, teaching me to play Dungeons and Dragons First Edition. My character was a halfling. I think we made him a werejackal. He was a rogue, and it was very silly. But I absolutely loved it because I loved playing pretend. Like a lot of my friends growing up were into sports or like toys, and I just loved running around the woods with my dog, fighting monsters and saving people. So finding this like game that gave me these, because truth be told, I liked the structure of the rule system, because it just kind of helped me to learn how to focus my creative energy a lot. And yeah, that was that, and I was hooked ever since.
Yeah, I definitely think that the structure of D&D, of TTRPGs, has helped me personally with like just as a storytelling medium. Because I've always liked telling stories. I've always liked writing, but like there's just always the actual act of writing is the worst. Having this medium of like your friends do a lot of the work for you is great for me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just such collaborative storytelling is just there. There's something so special about it, especially when you find the right group of people like for you. The table that you fit at, the table with the best chemistry.
Oh yeah.
like collaborative storytelling is just it's great.
Yeah. And you mostly do, you're on the GM side, right? So when did that, when was your first time doing that? Yeah.
That actually came like pretty late. I was a player in a lot of games. I was not a leader figure in my friend group at really any point in time at any of my school career. And so I found myself as a player, when I did play off and on. When the Panini started, some friends of mine were putting together a stream because everybody was in lockdown and they were wanting to play, and they're like, "Hey, we want to do this live stream." Now I was used to do a lot of independent film work, and a lot of people in the film and theater community play Dungeons and Dragons, play TTRPGs. Like, it's just a thing. And so these were all people that I was on the con circuit with. So we would go to these conventions all around, up and down the East Coast, and we become friends on social media and stuff. And they were putting together a live stream to go on Twitch, and they needed a GM, and she thought I would be great at it. So she was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And so
no pressure.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. I sink or swim. I got involved with a game that wasn't streaming, that was playing virtually on Roll20 and Discord. So, because I was like, okay, well, I need to learn to use these things because these are the things we will be using for the stream. I already had a pretty good handle on a big chunk of my GMing style and skill set, I guess would be the best way to phrase it, comes from my theater background. I've been a director for lots of shows. Definitely call on some of that in terms of how to steer drama in subtle ways while still letting the players have all of the creative agency. Just finding the rising action and the climaxes in each little scene and things like that. Like my understanding of pacing with live storytelling, I think, comes from my theater background. And then I love to write too. Like creative writing was my favorite class all through all of my school years. I loved to write stories. I still have old 3-ring binders from high school with stupid little stories in them and scripts and things. Me and my high school best friend, we wrote a movie script when we were in high school called The Adventures of Jesus and Satan, and it was this really silly buddy comedy. Think like Jay and Silent Bob kind of.
Okay.
Level.
I see the vision. Yeah.
And it was pretty good for a bunch of dumb high schoolers, and so, falling into the GM position kind of, it was nerve-wracking, sure, and I still get nervous. I'm nervous before every stream. I've been doing it now for years, and I'm still nervous before every stream. That imposter syndrome, comes out swinging sometimes. But I learned to use Roll20 in Discord, which learning the technical side of it was probably the most challenging and what makes me the most nervous, because it's what I have the least control over if something goes wrong, which that sucks, having that power taken, that takes a toll sometimes, I think. But yeah, my first time stepping into the GM position was when the stay-at-home orders got kicked up, and some friends wanted to put a stream together, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I started my first game that I DM'd was a couple months into the pandemic, just because I had played before, and I had played shorter campaigns that all kind of had already ended, had already kind of fizzled out, and I was like, well, I have control issues. Why don't I try, playing my own or making my own?
We play to our strengths.
Yeah, and that game's still going. So 3 years strong.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so you said you have experience in theater and film, and you said your mom was like head of the church choir and stuff. Is that where you kind of got your start? Was doing stuff with that, or how did that start? Yeah,
I mean, yeah. When I was in elementary school, I went to a magnet elementary school, and I don't even know if that's still a thing. Is that still a thing?
I think so.
So there were music classes and acting classes and art classes. There was a lot. It was very arts oriented curriculum. And so I remember being in like little plays at school. I couldn't tell you what any of them were, although I think I was in Annie Jr. at one point. I don't remember who I played though. The butler? I don't remember. But my mom, yeah, she was the choir director, so any of the church things, I was there, so I guess my mom, like, there's no way my mom's gonna let me get away, but we're not. And then I was in band, in middle school and high school. I played the trombone, and then in high school I got involved in theater. But both of my parents were very art-minded people. My mom was very musical and theater and that sort of element, and my dad was a visual artist. He was an illustrator and excellent penman, calligraphy and painter. So very art oriented childhood. Definitely feeds into it.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you still participate in that kind of other than like streaming TTRPGs, that kind of storytelling? Outside of that, do you do any other artistic things, I guess?
When the chance arises, I've backed off of it a little bit in recent years. 2019 into 2020 was kind of like. I will state, it was a terrible year for everybody. A terrible time for everybody. I don't say this with I try to say this with as little privilege as I can, because all things considered, I fared very well. But it was supposed to be like my year. I got involved with this touring show called STEM the Musical that was just stupid fun, and I had several film contracts lined up. And then all of the things happened, and all of that went away, and I was really jaded about it for a long time. And so I have done a couple of things since then. Most notably and proudly, my wife and I, who she streams with us on Fridays, and she's like one of the council of our TTRPG group. She and I did Sweeney Todd together, which was amazing, and we did Arsenic and Old Lace together, which is also amazing. Just both two phenomenal shows. I feel like I may have done something else in there, but I did not retain it. So yeah, when the opportunity arises, I do. I do work a 40-hour work week, and my job is demanding, and I am at the point in my life where like time is a finite resource, and I take my rest very seriously. My downtime, my quality time at home with my wife, and trying to be social and all that stuff. So I am much more reserved in the projects I choose to get involved with. But I still do, like I said, when the right project comes along at the right time, yeah, absolutely. I am supposed to be involved in a new play that's supposed to be happening this coming winter. I haven't heard anything in a while, but I didn't really expect to, because when it was all agreed upon, they were like, okay, we'll start rehearsals sometime in December. We'll be in touch. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So you never know.
Never know.
They're on their own little timetable there.
Yeah. So if it happens, I'm here for it. If not, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Really, the stream stuff and our games have really taken up a lot of my creative like energy and purposefully. Like I get a lot of satisfaction out of it, personally.
Yeah. It fulfills a lot of those boxes that you're like, oh, it has that kind of theatrics to it. It has, there's, honestly, even some bits of like musicality to it.
Oh, sure.
And like, visual, and like it kind of all comes together.
I love it. Like I genuinely do. And really just the amount of like effort that it takes. It's not the kind of thing that I feel like in this stage of my life that I would love. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause it's work too. It requires a lot of spoons. But I just genuinely just can't get enough of it. So it's very, very satisfying.
Yeah. So I think I would be remiss, because this is a lot of your content on TikTok, if I didn't talk about you were very outspoken about your political beliefs. You're a great defender of the other communities. Is that something? Have you always been that kind of politically minded, or is that also something that has kind of developed over time?
No, I have been from a teenager. Like really, my rebellious youth is kind of where those seeds, I guess, got planted. I was one of the token goth kids in school, and I was really into like punk and metal, and the punk scene like is so healthy. Like that meant that at least the ones that I was a part of, and they weren't always historically, but I think that a lot of it came as I was maturing, and I just could not, and I was bullied, part it's just kind of part of the being a D&D nerd package. It comes with a little bit of bullying, like that's a little bit, that's the paprika on top. that gives you just a little bit of visual flavor, right? And as I got older and started to see things a little bit differently, and my perspective changed, recognizing injustice, like it's just something that I couldn't not. Now, as I have I'd say the last decade, the last 10 years, it has become more prevalent. I have become more vocal. I have become more outspoken, and more involved and active, to do to do what I can, because really that's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
So it's been I think just there's a law of physics, a law of dynamics that it's one of the it's just snowballing. It's getting bigger. But we live in really crazy times, so
Yeah.
it's hard not to be vocal for me. Like I just can't. I can't.
Definitely. And with that, do you kind of see your political mindedness kind of infiltrating your TTRPGs, like how you run your games, how you create your worlds?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I don't. Politics is an important thing. I don't understand. Now, I didn't always feel that, because I didn't always understand what politics meant, like what politics were. Politics, it's a lens. It's a part of it's our worldview. It's how we see the world around us and how we think the world around us should be working, and it shapes how we interact with everybody in that world. And I don't think so many people have turned it into this alien thing, this detached object that I can pick up and I can put over there, and I don't really have to think about it. Oh, look, I'm not looking at it. It's not a problem, right?
Right.
And that's nope, that doesn't work for me. So yeah, it permeates, I think, every facet of my life. So it's very present in the way that I run the games. I run the games very communally. I love input. I like there's been this trend on TikTok that I'm sure you've seen. You probably have even remarked on, where people will be concerned about what to prep. Like they're like, my players could do anything. What should I prep? And that's valid concern. Valid. I just ask my players what they want to do.
100%.
Like privately. Like I'll just be like, all right, you've got a lot of options ahead of you. What are you most interested in? And that's what I'll do. I love to have that back and forth. I am not an island. I don't want to be an island. We're better together. We wouldn't be doing it. We wouldn't be having as good a time doing it if we weren't. So my political mind definitely comes into play. Some of the stories that I write, like I said, I really fell in love with role playing when I was in the player seat on a live stream. Campaign 1 with Adventures in Silver Nail. It's actually what this shirt is from. And there was this character that I really poured a lot of stuff into. You know, we started kind of in the middle of the pandemic, and I had a lot of, just like everybody else, a lot of stuff going on, and I used that character as a vehicle to kind of process some stuff, to deal with some of my personal emotional issues. You know, communicating with the GM, who he is a player in this campaign that I'm GMing, communicating with him about what was going on and like what I was interested in and what he had in store and all this, that, and the other allowed me to find the catharsis at times. So a lot of this, not a lot of, I will say like a good mix of this character arcs and story arcs that I write tie in some of my like worldview stuff that I'm trying to process, that I'm trying to like get a better feel on, or you know, I feel a certain way about something going on in the world, and I need to just feel what I feel about it, and it comes from that frustrated place, I think.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so much going on that we can't do a whole lot about. So yeah, interjecting a little bit of that in there, you know, to find some kind of, even if it's just for a minute, just for a second, some serotonin from some relief.
It's cathartic for sure.
Yeah. And I definitely think that is like I said, it's a pillar of my personality. So I can't imagine it not coming into play.
Yeah. Kind of going back a little bit, you kind of touched on it, just talking about how communicating with your GM to like kind of discuss the story you want to tell. To me, that's something like super important, especially in role play heavy games. What I think for people out there who, you know, want to be able to do that, what advice, you know, do you think would you like to give to them? Just how to go about doing that, how to go about asking what they want.
Yeah, just be honest. I mean, so a big part of my approach is at least where it started. And here's a really important thing for anybody getting into this kind of stuff to remember: is do not be immutable. Don't be really rigid. You got to allow some flexibility, because this is something that everybody's personality and creative energy is going to influence. And you know, rigidity can really like cause friction, and I've seen games fall apart because of it. So having that degree of flexibility right there from the start is very important, I think. But just active listening. If you don't know what active listening is, take the time to look into active listening and practice that. Mindfulness is another really, I think, important thing. To just be able to ascertain how we're really feeling and hopefully how our players are really feeling. Just lots of communication and honesty. And I literally, what I will do is I don't give anything that we haven't already gone over in stream. You know, whatever's happened up to the point of the conversation is on the table. I'll remind my players of their like the biggest things maybe that are coming up. You know, I build my games, at least this current game that we're running, I built it like as a sandbox. Very much inspired by games like The Witcher 3 or like Red Dead Redemption, Fallout, stuff like that, where certain events in the narrative will not be triggered until the players get there. And then they kind of, you know, choose which direction they want to go. So just asking them, hey, one of my default questions are, you know, what is the most important thing to you right now? What do you hope to get out of A, B, or C? You know, what is a place that your character wants to go? Who is an NPC that your character wants to talk with again? You know, stuff like that. And then I'll also do it in the, all right, guys, and gals, it's been a minute since we've done a fight. Y'all want to have a combat heavy episode? It's been a minute since we've done some puzzles. Would y'all like to do some puzzles? And I try to like swing it around and alternate, because we only stream when you're playing in person, you can play for all day.
Yeah.
It just blows by. But when you're playing like in front of a camera, in front of a computer, 2 hours, 3 hours.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So we have like a limit, like a 3-hour limit. And there's only so much you can do in 3 hours sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Combat takes forever sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So asking ahead of time, what the players are feeling, what their vibe is, just takes less pressure off of me to have to guess what they're into. Although I do think that there is a certain point where you do learn to kind of pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they really focused on this session, and this was something that there was an emotional response here or whatever, and make little notes for myself. But whenever I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna ask.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you want to do?
Yeah. It's a lot easier when it's like, oh, this is just a group of my friends. This is a group of people that I am 100% comfortable having that open conversation with. Actually, I just started a short campaign that I'm as a player, and my GM Madeline, who's an amazing GM, for when we were like sending them our just like our character descriptions, our backstories, and all that, they said to also put it like a hero moment. Like, what's a moment that we want to have for our character?
Right.
Like I'd never had anyone do that for me before, and I was like, oh, that's actually great, especially for such a contained story. Like, you can't always do what exactly you want your character to do. So just like saying like, oh, I would like my character to have like a big sacrificial moment, like that's really important.
So my session zeros, there's like lots of communication, lots of questions. And one of the things that I always ask for is stuff like that. I call them story moments. Do you want a story moment? And that's something that they can always ask me for privately, like outside of the stream.
Yeah.
We all communicate, chat through Discord. We have a group chat with all 4 of us because it's a three-person party. Oh, beautiful. We'll be adding a 4th next month. I have a in private chat with each of them, and then they have a chat without me, so that they can have some autonomy and some secrecy for their plots and plans. Asking for that sort of stuff, like just makes for much, like I think, eagerness for that character to succeed.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah. Great. So I think that now brings us to the game portion of our interview. I have a game for you today that I am calling Stocked and Loaded. I have a series of stock image photos that I'm going to send to you. And I want you to look at it, take a second, and then I want you to tell me what you think this person's like character archetype would be, like either their class or playbook, or just if they could be an NPC, they could be a player character, they could be the big bad. I'm just gonna send you one by one. I have 5 of them. Here is the first one. I'm sending to you in Discord.
All right. What is dude? That's a player character. I think fighter maybe. They're definitely, because they're carbo loading. Important, stamina while they're working out. They got a pack there. That's preparedness. That's what this says to me.
Yeah, I could see that. They have athletics proficiency at least, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm definitely proficient in athletics.
Cool. Here is number 2. All
right. As as much as my impulse wants to also make this a player character, just because it reminds me of a guy I play with, I'm gonna say that this is the wizened NPC that the party has to go and train with to learn how to overcome whatever it is that the BBG has planned for them. This is their master Oogway up in the mountains.
Yeah, there's a side quest. They have to go find him. Yeah, bring him an ancient staff.
Bring him a keg or something. Something like that. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Monk. That's definitely a
party. Oh, 100%. Yeah, frat monk. Here's number 3.
These are great. Luke says the boss. I'm gonna say that is the BBG because he is clearly an instrument of the oppressive capitalist system.
Of course.
As Mog says, the boss. Right. This is giving me, if not BBG, definitely like underling vibes.
Yeah,
like
sub boss.
Maybe BBG is the district manager, but he's the manager.
I could see that. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a pun with BBEG and deer, but it's not coming to me. I'll wake up at 3 a.m. with that.
Have you ever heard the noises deer make?
Oh, they're terrifying. They just scream.
Horrifying. They sound like velociraptors.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Yeah, no, awful. Here is number 4.
Okay, alright.
And this could either be the person or the fish.
I'm thinking that the person is an NPC in the market, a fishmonger. I know that's pretty simplistic and obvious here, but I think the fish are really what's in question. I think they're polymorphed druids probably that were up partying too late on the beach and found themselves in a pickle or on their way to being pickled.
That's
on what kind of fish they are.
Which is really, we've all been there, so you know.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
It happens.
Here is our last stock photo.
What happened to you, Miss Frizzle?
This is just me on a fun Friday night. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, for real, this reminds me of so many of my favorite NPCs. Like that I you know, and that's the best part about being a GM is you get to play all the NPCs, and I really try to make a lot of them as ridiculous as possible. So this reminds me very much of one of the NPCs in the stream who's like the crazy. He's what I imagine. Did you ever watch the old D&D cartoon?
I've seen clips of it. Yeah.
So imagine the dungeon master in that combined with Hubert Farnsworth from Futurama. That's this character. So this reminds me like this character here probably dated. His name's Armin. This character. This looks like as tempting to make a crazy mad scientist the BBG, but no, this is who the party goes to when they need to get some explosives.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's the town alchemist.
Artificer. Multi-class. That figures out a way to make exploding arrows.
Cool. And then I just have one final question. Out of all of these, who would you want to play?
Who would I want to play?
Or portray as the GM, I guess.
Oh, definitely our frat monk.
He seems so fun. I want to know his story.
For real. Like,
he kind of looks like Seth Rogen.
He does. And people have compared me to Seth Rogen more than a couple of occasions. So being drawn to him is definitely multifaceted. But he seems the most fun for sure.
Cool, great. Thank you so much for playing. That was so fun.
Thank you.
As we start just wrapping up our little interview, I want to give you a minute to just talk about upcoming projects you have going on or ongoing projects that you just want people to check out.
So the Adventures in Silvernail is our stream. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Facebook. We have an Instagram too, and on TikTok, Silvernail Official. We are a homebrew 5e game that's been running for several years now. We're in our third campaign. They just started the fourth campaign. It's just awesome. It's this huge world that all of us have really started to take parts of and create in. It's this crazy sandbox put together by a whole lot of really talented, really creative people, all theater-minded individuals as well, that are very passionate and dedicated to it, and we have just such a good time. I am GMing Into the Expanse, which currently plays on Fridays at 7 p.m., but we'll be switching to Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the week of Thanksgiving. Yeah, their other campaign running right now is called Princesses of Power, and it's like Dungeons and Dragons Mean Girls. It's so much fun, and that is on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. My wife and I are co-GMing a recorded mini campaign, like a mini series that we'll be putting on the YouTube channel sometime in the next year called Bard Party. That it all stemmed. The only thing I'll say about it is it all stems from this idea that I had that I wanted to create an NPC that was a beholder who was also a game show host.
Okay, I see the vision. I see it.
And we've recorded 2 episodes so far. It's just absolute absurdity, and I love it so much. And that group is fantastic. So that's really going to be something special. We do giveaways and stuff on our channel. I give away these raptor claw necklaces on the reg, and our Twitch chat is always fun because we do the channel points can purchase in-game changes. Like you can purchase a bad something terrible happening, or a player advantage, or finding a health potion, all kinds of stuff. So it's always fun to come hang out on Twitch. Yeah, I think yeah, that's it. I think check me out on the TikTok. Come hang out.
Yeah. Looking forward to all of it. And we like to wrap up all of our interviews, having our guests shine a spotlight on something happening in the TTRPG universe that they would like other people to also be paying attention to. What would you like to shine on today?
So I see so many people asking for so many different kinds of advice for getting their campaign started, or ABC and XYZ for when the character wants this or does this. And I could spend hours, regurgitating all of the advice that I've heard and the advice that I've really taken to heart. But I wanted to highlight an author that I am super fond of, named James D'Amato, and he has 3 books in particular that are my absolute favorite TTRPG books that I have ever read, like hands down. They're non-system specific, and it's the Ultimate Guide to Tabletop RPGs. I actually think I have them over here. Yeah, that's it. Ultimate RPG Gameplay Guide, the Ultimate RPG Character Backstory Guide, and the Ultimate RPG Game Master's World Building Guide. They're put together like workbooks, and like something about like my brain, my neurodivergent brain, like I like having like almost like school book style information given to me. It's just something that I process the information really well when it's given to me in a manner that I can, like, this book is full of places where you can write in answers and things, it asks you questions, all kinds of cool stuff. The other thing that this author just recently put out is the RPG Campfire deck, and basically it's 175 cards divided up into 6 categories that are all like your character's past, your character's present, your companions, the world you live in, your dreams and hypotheticals. And what you're meant to do is the party, you take 2 cards from the deck, and 1 card is meant for you and your character to answer, and 1 card is meant for you to ask another character at the table. And we started using it before we stream. I've used it with my in-person games. It's the craziest thing because gives you this laser. I know lots of people who put lots of effort into their backstories, and they have all of these like great ideas about their character, but then when you get to the table and it's time to play, it's time to put the headphones on, turn the lights on, there's a disconnect because we're here and we're doing this, and I noticed that it would take us a little bit of time for the session to really kind of find that sweet spot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And using these before we start streaming has eliminated that gap, and it really has helped me to think about the characters that I am building to play, the NPCs that I'm creating, and how I'm approaching session development, because it also gives me, as the GM, it gives me plenty of stuff to listen to and use. If you're asking your party about, like, what is just characters, what are their dreams, I'm going to use that. It's just been an excellent tool for getting a lot of insights. And like I said, TikTok is full of people just asking questions. And so this, I thought, is a great option for finding some of those answers.
So cool. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, I can't endorse it enough, seriously. Yeah. I'm not getting any kickbacks or anything. I just genuinely
enjoy it, yeah.
Love it. Brendan Lee Mulligan wrote the foreword in the Ultimate RPG Guide. So it's got, as far as I'm concerned, Brendan Lee Mulligan can do no wrong.
Yeah, has a stamp of approval on it, for sure.
Yeah, I was sold before I even read the first page. I saw the foreword. I'm like, hey, this is probably going to be great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So that is all we have for you guys today. Thank you, Michael, so much for joining us and talking with me. Where on the internet can people find you?
I did that thing where I kind of culled my social medias down a little bit, and I'm really only on TikTok now, the Michael Ray Williams. I do have a Discord. I have a public server. It's linked in my TikTok, so you feel free to jump in there. I post all kinds of silly stuff. I do some streaming on Twitch. Dancing Wolf is my name on there, but I'm not super up on it here lately. But Adventures at Silvernell, we play every week, and are planning on playing every week until the walls fall down. So come hang out.
Cool. All your socials and stuff will be linked in the description down below. As always, I've been Dan the Baker. You can find me at Dan_the_Baker on TikTok, all across the internet. Thank you all so much for joining us here at Open Table Adventures. Make sure you stick around, check out some of our campaigns we have going. I'm not sure when this is going to be coming out, but I think our Halloween one-shot Murder Mystery will be out. I'm sure our finale for Park Strangers, our Monster of the Week game, and I think our Call of Cthulhu game, Neptune's Revenge, will be coming out soon. So make sure you stick around, check that out. Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us. You are always welcome to pull up a chair. Bye-bye.